Should you go to film school to learn filmmaking? No. This is a conversation I've had with, I can't even count how many people, probably something like 100 at this point. People ask me this all the time. And every time I answer them, it's always a hot take. People always get upset by this. Film school is a complete joke. And you don't have to look far past modern Hollywood and the movies that they're making to realize that. They're all abysmally just terrible and amateur and kind of disgusting to look at. And it's essentially because of film school. We're doing a horrible job of teaching young filmmakers, young talented people, how to make good movies. Now, you might be somebody who knows for sure you want to work on movies. You might be somebody who says, you know, I want to make films, but I'm not really sure yet what that was going to look like. If you're in the camp of you definitely want to go make movies, okay, maybe film school is a good way to go because it's really hard to get into that Hollywood space without taking that path. I get that. I understand that. But everything I'm about to say is still going to apply to you because you need to be incredibly careful and on guard while you're in film school to make sure that not only are you in fact actually learning things, but that you're not forgetting things and you're not having the talent drained from you while you're there. You may need to use it as an in to the industry. That's fully possible. But you also have to make sure you don't fall into the belly of the beast while you're there. So everything I'm about to say still applies to you. Make sure you're doing all of this on the side. If you're in the other camp, where you want to make films, you're not really sure how it's going to look yet, maybe you want to work on movies, maybe you want to do advertising, maybe we just want to be a YouTuber, I'm not really sure. I get it, I've been there. This is especially for you. I think the biggest, most overarching reason I can give you for this is that filmmaking in any form is ultimately an art form. It is. It's like painting. The only way to get good at it is by doing it. You have to practice it. And so let's compare two different paths in life. And I'm going to pull from personal experience here because I've had a number of very good friends who've gone to film school and this is what's happened to them and it breaks my heart. Me and a dear friend of mine, great guy, we were running YouTube channels back in the day. And that was how we were learning filmmaking. We both wanted to be filmmakers, didn't really know exactly what it was going to be yet, but we knew we wanted to do that. And so he had a YouTube channel and I had a YouTube channel, and every week we would make a new video and we tried something new that week and learn about something new and implement that into the video. We would use the videos as our mechanism for learning filmmaking. And every single week we'd get 1% better every time, just a little bit here and there. But we were learning and we were practicing it, we were implementing it, and it was incredibly effective. And then eventually, my friend decided to go to film school. When he went to film school, he completely stopped making videos. I mean, he's uploaded a few since then, but not really. And he's done some projects through his school. So he's still been able to implement some of the things that they're teaching him, but he's only done like 3 or 4 or something like that. Not very many. And I've seen them all. Because I watch them all, and I will always watch them all. Anything he makes, he's my friend. I got him. I'm going to watch it. They're not very good. Matter of fact, they're significantly worse than his videos from, 4 years ago now. The fact of the matter is, film school drained him of talent because it no longer allowed him to practice. Because school teaches you how to do things. Essentially, read it out of the book, learn how to do it, and now you know. But you don't, because you haven't actually done it. You haven't actually practiced it. You have to do it every single day, all day. What's the number? It's like 10,000 hours of practice for mastery or something like that. There's a number out there that's actually accurate. I think it's 10,000 hours. You have to do the reps. You have to get the practice in. Like playing guitar, you have to do it. You can't just learn how. And perhaps even a bigger problem, or at least a more tangible problem, is that film school recently is teaching things completely wrong, just objectively incorrect. I've ranted about this before. Flat lighting. I did a whole video on flat lighting in Hollywood these days. Quick synopsis. Basically, the lighting in a lot of new movies and shows, I dare say most of them, is so ridiculously even and flat across the characters' faces. But the reason they do it is actually pretty smart. Because we're using so much CGI and because we're changing so many things in post to the point where the movie's being written while it's being made, the fact of the matter is they don't actually know for sure yet where a character is going to be, right? When they've filmed this scene, they might be thinking, oh, the character's in this location. But then they go to edit and realize, oh, you know what? Actually, they should be in this, there should be this background behind them instead. They're in this location instead, which works because now the CGI guys can come in and change the background. But if the background changes and the location changes, it means the light source changes too, which means you need to have a blank slate so that you can, increase the exposure here, decrease the shadows here, and kind of create your own lighting as you go along. It makes sense given the circumstances. It allows for more creative flexibility. It's cheaper that way. I get all that. But it looks horrible. It's wrong. It's ugly, it's lazy, it's wrong. And it's what film school is teaching these guys. So not only are you not getting to practice things nearly as much in exchange for learning how to do things, what you're learning how to do is wrong. We should also probably mention the lack of budgeting realism that you have in film school. So we talked about my friend again. He's done a lot of work within his film school now, which is great. That's awesome. He started practice again. That's good to see. And he's done a lot of, directing roles within those projects. And I keep seeing behind the scenes of this stuff, and I see the gear that they're using. And listen, the likelihood of a film school student, graduate, getting a job in Hollywood, actually on set of a movie, is ridiculously low. Okay? It's really low. I'm not saying it's impossible. You might do it. It's really low. So the likelihood of you starting out working with these massive budgets where you can get all of this incredible gear like your film school would have and rent to you is really slim. More than likely, as you start out and you're working on, indie films and things like that, your budget's going to be non-existent and you're going to have to make do with some really shitty gear and some bad actors and all this. Like it's going to be rough because money's tight. And that's something that you should be learning in film school. That is a huge part of the process. If you want to be a director and your film school isn't preparing you for the fact that your budgets are going to be low, you're going to be low on gear, you're going to have to get creative. No, you can't fly the crew out there. You're going to have to rewrite the story to make it cheaper. These are things you have to learn. And yet they're being supplied and kind of borderline pampered with the nicest gear that money can buy that they're not going to have. And I've seen too many very specific cases of both my friend and lots of other people that I don't know nearly as well, over-relying on the gear and as a result, missing out on the underlying skill beneath that shot that they're trying to get. It's way too common to see people just relying on their gear and thinking that their gear makes things look good. Your gear does not make for a good shot. The camera does not matter. Guys, the camera doesn't matter, okay? I'm a diehard Sony guy. Obviously, I want an FX3. I want the best Sony cameras. They're super cool. I don't need them. Will it make my shot look a little bit better? Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's a better camera. But if I suck, my shot's going to suck, no matter what camera I'm using. So film school is not only doing a terrible job of teaching you how to manage a tiny budget, but it's also not doing anything to teach you how to work with the horrible gear that you're probably going to be using. They're just throwing expensive gear at them because apparently that makes a good image. It doesn't. The best way to learn filmmaking is A, teach yourself. Do it on your own time. Learn. And B, find a mentor to help you. If you can get those two things, you will learn filmmaking. You will learn filmmaking, and you'll learn it pretty quickly. And most importantly, you'll probably learn it for free. Start a YouTube channel and start practicing. It doesn't matter what you upload. Upload something you genuinely enjoy, right? If you want to make short films, start making some short films around the house. Start practicing, right? If you want to make more traditional YouTube style content, do that. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. And it can change over time. Don't worry about growing the channel. Unless you want to do content creation, don't worry about growing this channel. This is just your creative outlet. This is where you test things, where you experiment, where you learn. And then over time, eventually you're going to find somebody, if you haven't already found someone, who can guide you along the way. Someone who's had more experience than you, just a mentor in filmmaking who can teach you some basics, tell you when you're doing well, when you're doing poorly. For me, it was Matt Diavella, great guy, I love that guy. He helped me a lot. And I taught myself on YouTube. And I didn't have any fancy gear starting out. Would you like to see the camera that I started out on when I was teaching myself filmmaking? This is a 5th generation iPod Touch. This was my camera. This was how I learned filmmaking. I didn't have a tripod. I built a stand for this phone out of Lego pieces that I then sat on top of my desk, which I sat on top of my bed to get eye level. That was my tripod for my first ever video. On this right here, I learned the basics of framing. I learned the basics of lighting, of exposure levels, of audio quality. I learned a lot of basics filming on my iPod Touch in high school. After that, I upgraded to the, the Galaxy S20, which became my camera for like 3 straight years. This was the phone I really learned YouTube on. Like when I was teaching myself filmmaking, not when I first started out, when I was really getting good at it, getting into the groove. It was this phone. And it was only like a year later that I finally got my first actual Sony camera, Sony A64. And did that then unlock a million new things that I could learn? Yep, it was huge. But if you don't really know what you're doing, if you're just starting out, guys, iPod Touch, come on. This is so easy to get started. You do not need this ridiculously expensive university education with all their fancy gear. You just need your phone. It's in your pocket. You can learn framing that way. That's like number 1, right? If you want to get good at photography or videography or filmmaking, first thing you should probably learn is framing. If you ask me, framing, lighting was like the 2 first things to go with. And you can do both of those with your phone. I run my own media production company. I started out on this. I never had any formal education. I taught myself on YouTube on an iPod Touch with a Lego tripod. You do not need film school. This might change as time goes on, but at least right now, I would never hire a film school graduate. And let me kind of explain why. A little bit of background on me. I was briefly in the Marine Corps, and the drill instructors would say something in boot camp during rifle week when they're teaching you how to shoot, right? They would always prefer the recruits who have never shot a gun in their life to the ones that grew up on a farm shooting guns all the time, right? Because the guys who have always been shooting, they have bad habits, and it's really hard to break those, and the DIs have to then break them. But the guys who never touched a gun before in their lives are like fresh meat. You can teach them exactly how to do it correctly from the get-go. I can assume that by the time they've gotten out of film school, they've built up some bad habits. And so if I'm hiring film school graduates who have been learning things wrong, as we've discussed, not only do I have to teach them, I have to re-educate them on this. I have to convince them that they've been lied to by their professors. People for the past 4 years, they've been trained to trust. I have to convince them, hey, you were lied to. That's not how we do things. It's really hard to convince people of that. It's not worth my time, my effort, my money. It's just not. Now, again, 5 years from now, I might be singing a different tune. For right now, it's not going to happen. All right, I'm hiring people from high school. Genuinely, my main guy right now, Cooper, what a legend. What a legend. He's a student at a local high school. He's incredible. He'll be teaching me stuff pretty soon. He's great. I would never hire a film school graduate. So if you're going to film school because you think a film degree is going to get you a job, I promise you it will have the opposite effect. Promise. Not to mention, film school is a little expensive. It's kind of perma debt. YouTube is free, and doing some freelance work as you learn is paid. So you can go into debt for pretty much the rest of your life, or you can actually make a little bit of money. Hope this makes sense. Hope this helps. Hope this helps anybody who is trying to make decisions about their future, wanting to go into filmmaking. I'm working on a Discord group for mutual feedback for those of us who are teaching ourselves filmmaking, just to kind of get feedback from each other, daily advice lessons from me. I'm not really sure how it's going to look yet, but that'll come out sometime this year. If you're in the upper or lower Midwest, stay warm, stay safe, and most importantly, just get started. Don't overthink it. Happy shooting. Have a great day.